God save our gracious Queen, bring out the guillotine, off with their heads. Oh, praise be to Jeebus in heaven, the day of our glorious leader's Platinum Jubilee is upon us. For those plebeians out there unlucky enough not to be born in the godly kingdom of Unitas, the mighty landmass we know as Great Britain, where our blue passports and bulldog tattoos mark us as the greatest people of all, allow me to fill you in on the events of the day. Our wonderful monarch, the bearer of the £1 million hat, the world's richest benefit scrounger, is today celebrating her 70th year on the big important chair. Now I've got an aunt who's also not got off her arse in 70 years, whilst similarly funding her bingo and nicotine addictions through taxpayer money, so I feel a certain closeness to Her Majesty. There's something about that vacant, glassy smile and weird cyborg wrist-rotating wave thing that gets me feeling all patriotic inside, and it's simply wonderful to see a woman whose favourite hobbies involve shooting birds and foxes and presumably homeless people get to live to such a grand old age. She'll be sending herself a letter of congratulations in a few years. Ha 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 ha. Of course, it's not all been sunshine and happiness in the world of Her Maj. She officially lost her husband last year. I say officially because I'm pretty sure he was dead for about a decade, but his rigor mortis hardened corpse kept expelling gases which sounded vaguely like a heavily inbred man saying slurs, so no one really noticed. This Resident Evil looking motherfucker got in about 12 car crashes in his last year of life, and everyone was still like, oh yeah, old Prince Phil, he's a scoundrel, isn't he? Now someone get that child to the ER and give the mother some hush money. But I'm being unfair. I'm sure the royal family were devastated when he passed. I don't think the Queen's been that publicly upset since she had Princess Diana killed. And then on top of that, she's had to deal with two major controversies in her perfect little family. Her son, Prince Andrew, was found out to have ties with known kiddie peddler Jeffrey Epstein, going so far as to visit the nonce Master General's private island and reportedly, allegedly, potentially, apparently, definitely having sex with a young girl. Of course he denies it because he has a rare condition which prevents him from sweating, and how could he possibly have fucked a child without adequate amounts of natural lube? Her Royal Highness dealt with this issue firmly, of course, protecting her poor baby boy from the courts of law, but giving him a right royal telling off and a slap on the wrist that stung for hours. If he does anything so silly again, the Queen has vowed to cut his army of serving staff down to just 15 and not let him use the private jet for a month, so you know he'll be staying in line. Boys will be boys, of course, and how could you punish poor Andrew too harshly when there was a crime so much more heinous being committed by another member of the family? The Queen's grandson Prince Harry, you see, committed the major cardinal sin to end all sins. He married a black woman. I'm sorry for divulging that information so readily. I'm sure a number of you dramatically swooned like a damsel in a silent movie at the very thought. Can you imagine a black woman? Well, I say a black woman. Looking at her, I estimate she has about as much African blood in her as I do after sharing a needle with Kwame down the road. But nevertheless, that's enough to have the poor lad banished from both the family and the country. You'd have thought the time he literally dressed up as Hitler and flashed a Sieg Heil would have been the tipping point rather than this, but to be fair, the Queen used to do that back in the 40s too. But anyway, I'm digressing. I really just wanted to make this video to say thank you to Her Majesty. Just because she lives in a slew of ludicrously opulent mansions while her countrymen literally rely on food banks to survive, and just because she and her family make a mockery out of the working man by funding the whims of every distant Windsor relative out of the pockets of people they'll never meet, and just because her institution represents a laundry list of archaic laws which are upheld purely on the so-called merits of tradition and blind stubbornness, and just because I have to look at her smug, self-important old lady face every time I count out the pennies from my wallet to pay for my Tesco meal deal, and I have to barely suppress the rage and resentment I feel long enough to escape the store without embedding a 20p piece in the self-checkout screen, doesn't mean we don't owe her for the years of long service doing whatever the fuck it is she does. So just for today, I shall stand and salute as the old bastion of wealth and privilege enjoys a parade in her honour, and use my body to protect her against all the fragile lefty libs who are too weak to get down on all fours and deep throat the boot like a good serf. And now, in honour of this momentous occasion, I offer unto you a topical tune from the band Queen, and their very own Queen, the late Great Freddie Mercury. And that's all I can play because now my channel has a DMCA, this video has been taken down, my account has been deleted, my house has been repossessed, my citizenship has been revoked, my history has been scrubbed from the records, and Brian May is in possession of all my worldly goods. So I'll see you for the next video once I've secured a safe haven on a remote island where they won't be able to trace my IP address. It'll be tough attempting to reroute electricity through palm fronds and monkey hair, but hey, at least I'll no longer be living in fealty to an obsolete, self-important, wealth-hoarding, worthless, geriatric, decaying old